You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Hello, beautiful people. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturn Day. If you're ever wondering where the name Saturday came from, there's a little clue. And happy Gemini season. We made it, literally finally made it onto the live stream. Mercury retrograde has been doing me dirty, you guys. But we made it live just in time for the most fortunate transit of the weekend and a silver lining during this Mercury retrograde. So in this video, we are going to walk through Gemini season. I'll take you through all the transits coming up this Gemini season, but first we're going to go through the energy of this weekend. And of course, the sun moved into Gemini on Friday. Today we have what's called Mercury Cazimi actually happening right now if you're joining me live. And then tomorrow, Mercury moves back into Taurus. So we're going to go through all of it together, get nice and comfy, get relaxed. And if you're finding this video later, you're curious about one specific transit, I'll go ahead and put some chapter markers down in the description and on the timeline so you can jump to whatever you are curious about. I just realized the mic is not facing my mouth, so hopefully that makes it a little easier. And for those of you who don't follow me on Instagram, I have been having so many technical issues leading up to this live stream. So if you're joining me live, let me know. Can you see me? Can you hear me? If there are any tech glitches, you guys are like my remote producers here. So let me know if everything is good or if there are any glitches happening. Hello, Roy. Thank you for being here. So let's just start with an introduction to Gemini season. The sun is now in Gemini, and the sun moved into Gemini on Friday night about 6 p.m. Here's what this means for us. Just a brief little overview of Gemini season. The sun will be moving through the sign of the twins from now until June 21st, until the summer solstice. That's when Cancer season begins. And Gemini is an air sign. It's known for having multiple personalities. Gemini people tend to be able to shape-shift and meet whatever the environment they're in. They're usually very talkative and curious. Gemini energy makes us want to attain new information. Now, the shadow side of this is that we can be a little bit gossipy or really quick to jump into conversation without being totally intentional. It's that air sign energy of just wanting to bounce around and go here, go there. It can be a little bit flaky, but the positive is that we are so curious, very open to new ideas, very sociable and willing to interact with different people. I would expect the pace in general of the year to pick up during Gemini season because it's just very quick moving. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So if you're a Gemini rising or a Gemini sun, you're probably feeling this Mercury retrograde especially strongly, specifically because Mercury is retrograde in Gemini, in its home sign, only for today. Then it moves back into Taurus, which we'll talk about. But let me know. Let me know if we have any Geminis joining us or what your favorite quality about Geminis are. Here's a little refresher. So when the sun is moving through a sign, it's like our life force energy. The sun is what gives us all life, right? It's the life giver. And in astrology, the sun rules our identity, our ego, our self, our expression, our purpose, our willpower. So a lot of us will be expressing ourselves a little bit more like a Gemini through Gemini season. It's our essence. And remember, we all have all 12 zodiac signs in our chart. Even if you don't have major Gemini placements, there is a little bit of Gemini in each of us, maybe a lot of Gemini, depending on your chart. So it's that part of us as the sun moves through that part of our chart that gets expressed a little bit more. And this is a great time to take a look at your own chart. If you've never gotten a copy of your birth chart, you can get one. The link is in the description, thespiritualjournalist.com/birth chart. You can also scan the QR code up in the corner to get yours. But this is a great time to take a look at what house is ruled by Gemini in your chart. That will give you an idea of what area of your life will get a little more attention, a little more activation this Gemini season. And just a little bit of a refresher on Gemini energy as well. Gemini, the sign of the twins. So Geminis often have like all these different parts of their personality that they can express depending on the circumstance they're in. And they're always gaining new information to be able to have that little tidbit in their back pocket. So when they meet someone who has that very specific interest, they're like, oh yes, I know this fact about that. So it's very connective, all about communication, curiosity, sharing knowledge, gaining knowledge, being adaptable, very busy energy, go, 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 wanting to meet all the people, do all the things. Geminis tend to be very charismatic. They are very chatty once you get to know them. If you have a Gemini rising, you're probably extremely chatty and social, but maybe if you're a Gemini sun and have a different rising sign, that doesn't exactly resonate for you, but it's likely if you're a Gemini or have major Gemini placements that once someone gets you talking or starts expressing interest in something you're interested about, that conversation just flows really easily. Gemini also is associated with siblings or friendships, those kinds of relationships. It's very extroverted, very humorous, a little gossipy, as we mentioned, just a very social sign. So that's the energy that we're stepping into over the next month. Oh, and someone says, oh, Roy, it's your birthday tomorrow. You are a Gemini. Happy birthday to you. Fun weekend to have a birthday. My best friend is a Gemini. She's a beautiful person inside and out. I love you guys telling me your favorite qualities about Geminis. This is something I think I need to start at the beginning of every astrological season. My partner's sister is a Gemini, and she's also a Gemini moon, but she has a Scorpio rising. So like I was talking about, sometimes Geminis aren't the most outgoing or social depending on their rising sign, but once you get them talking, they've got all the information. They've got all the facts. They retain information really easily, very knowledgeable. All right, so the sun is now in Gemini. Yesterday, just a little overview of Friday, walking you up to the energy of this weekend. Mercury retrograde might have felt especially intense over the past couple days because we'll talk about Mercury Cazimi, which is happening right now, one of my favorite transits to talk about. But as Mercury approaches the sun, you have to think Mercury is the smallest little planet. I believe even smaller than Pluto, but don't quote me on that. Very small, very fast moving, closest to the sun, right? The sun is the biggest body in our solar system, literally giving us all life. You know, it has so much energy. So as Mercury in the night sky gets closer to the sun's beams almost cancel out Mercury's energy, and that can make it feel a little confusing. For example, yesterday, our internet was out all day, all the communication issues. YouTube had a massive issue where it set a bunch of creators' videos to private. So there were a lot of tech glitches happening, communication breakdowns happening yesterday. And today will be a little bit different, but you know, this weekend in general, outside of this couple-hour window that we're in right now, Mercury Cazimi, Mercury retrograde is really going to be acting up. Yesterday, the moon moved into Aquarius, so we're under an Aquarius moon now, and made a couple different connections in the morning, but the moon hasn't been doing a whole lot until today. So let's now jump into our Saturday and talk about the major transits we're feeling right now. Roy says, my favorite quality is being able to love everyone and being social. I can pretty much talk to anyone. Yes, Roy, that is the Gemini energy we love. Geminis are great about, like, if you just throw them into a social situation, Gemini is a mutable sign. So not only is it an air sign, which tends to be a little bit more flighty and communicative, right? It likes to be social and buzzing around, doing all the things, but it's the mutable air sign. And mutable means that it can adapt easily. Our mutable signs tend to be able to adapt to the environment they're in. So I would say Gemini is like the most mutable sign. Like, it can just, people with a lot of Gemini energy are fine regardless of the situation you put them in. Like, the more stimulation, the better for Geminis. Okay, so let's talk about our Saturday now. I'm going to pull up the chart here so we can see the energy we have going on. And I want to start with what we're feeling right now. We are in the middle of what's called Mercury Cazimi. So we talked about the energy that sort of leads up to this, but take a look at where the sun is right now. 29, oh, we're a day behind. Hold on. Here we go. The sun and Mercury are both at 0 degrees in Gemini. So not only is this a Mercury Cazimi, but it's a 0 degree Mercury Cazimi. Let me explain what's a Cazimi. You're probably like, what? What is that? Okay, so Cazimi literally means in the heart of the sun. And we talked about how as Mercury gets closer to the sun, it's like the sun's rays totally overpower Mercury, right? But there is this period from about 7:30 this morning to 4:30 this afternoon where Mercury is moving through the heart of the sun. And when this happens, it's like the sun's rays almost supercharge Mercury's energy. For just these few hours, the sun isn't the ruler of the solar system anymore. Mercury is in charge. And in the midst of all the chaos and confusion of Mercury retrograde, this period is a moment of clarity. You're all here right now, meaning you probably came for this guidance, for this moment of clarity. And you know, we can have downloads, breakthroughs, aha moments, just a clearer mental state during Mercury Cazimi. Now, because this is happening at 0 degrees, when a planet is at 0 degrees or 29 degrees, they are very prolific points in the astrology chart, okay? And 0 degree placements tend to be very eager, like ready to jump into and embody that energy. Now, this will feel very Gemini with Mercury and the sun at 0 degrees Gemini. Like, we really want to learn new information right now. We're really eager to gain these insights. Almost too eager, if you ask me. But, you know, a lot of people are here, even in the comments, what about Scorpios? Like, people are putting their birth information. Please tell me about my future life and financial situation. This is the energy. Everyone like wants that insight right now. You know, like we're really feeling it. And Mercury Cazimi is exact at 12:17. So we will be here live while Mercury Cazimi is officially that exact moment where Mercury and the sun are in the same exact place in our sky. So you might be craving those insights today. And with the Gemini energy, it's really tempting to like seek it outside of ourselves, like read something or go on social media or be here and try to get information from something else. But truly, I think the most powerful, prolific way to use this Mercury Cazimi is to get intimate with yourself, to have those self-realizations and not necessarily seek things outside of ourselves because we have all the answers within us, right? So yeah, or if new information comes into your awareness, it could be a breakthrough moment or something that kind of switches gears, leads you on the path towards something else. Or maybe it's that final puzzle piece that's been missing for you to put things together. During Mercury retrograde, we've been reviewing, we've been going over things, and that will continue tomorrow, especially as Mercury moves back into Taurus. And we'll talk about this in a moment, but it will definitely bring back some of the thoughts and ideas we had in early April. So this is a time to get really clear on things today. Try to use the clarity to your advantage. Hopefully you're getting a little respite from the Mercury retrograde glitches. Hopefully the stream is coming through clearly today. Fingers crossed. I can't tell when we're live. So let me know if there are any major tech glitches happening. But I have a feeling we're all good because we're in the middle of Mercury Cazimi. Gemini rising here. I'm definitely a little more reserved in the beginning, but love being social once I warm up to people. Guilty of indulging in gossip. Oh, Rose. Yeah, like I feel like also Geminis really love like celebrity stuff, you know, like the celebrity gossip. Like they love to keep up with things, or not even celebrity, but like current events, like what's trendy right now, the current TV shows or movies that are out. Like they want all the deets on things, you know. And I love how you're like, I'm a little reserved, but then once you warm up, you're probably like fully social, able to talk to everybody. Gemini rising is a really fun rising sign to have. If you ask me, I don't have one, but I would imagine it's a really fun rising sign to have. Okay, so Mercury Cazimi. That's what we're feeling right now. We're getting the profound insights. Just make sure you're taking some time at some point today to get quiet with yourself and just allow anything to come through from your higher self in meditation, from spirit. This could be a great time. You know, stay till the end. We'll do an oracle card pull. Maybe a message is coming through for you here, but today is a powerful day for realizations. The moon is still in Aquarius, which is also a very beautiful energy for this Cazimi, because when the moon is in Aquarius, it opens us up to new perspectives, new ideas. So you can see the moon is now at 17 degrees here. And Aquarius is also an air sign, which makes us, again, more communicative. We want new information. We want to understand other people's points of view. We're probably more drawn to people who are eccentric or weird because we know they have a different perspective to offer, and we're craving that with the moon in Gemini. Now, or excuse me, the moon in Aquarius. The Aquarius moon also can make us a little emotionally distant, though. Aquarius can be a little spacey. Like, we like to see the perspective. It's almost like a top-down. Like, we're up floating on a cloud. We're in our alien spaceship. We like to see what's going on down below. We like to have that different perspective, but we don't necessarily want to be, like, embedded in it or involved in it, okay? So watch for being a little emotionally distant or cold, kind of those lingering Capricorn moon vibes as well from earlier in the week. Aquarius also rules the future, so we might be really focused on the future rather than the present moment. So there's a lot of air energy today with the moon in Aquarius, with the sun in Gemini, with Mercury in Gemini. Really take time to ground yourself today, whether that's through meditation, like literally just going out in the earth, being out in nature for a little bit. Grounding yourself will be really helpful, especially to bring through those clear insights during Mercury Cazimi. We're also more attuned to collective energy with the moon in Gemini. So there could be insights that come through about the collective, or we're really invested in like humanitarian causes, the future of the earth as a whole, not just our own lives. So that could be coming up for you as well. And again, that makes us a little more detached with our like close relationships, our one-on-one relationships, but we might feel more involved in our community or in the world's community, you know, our place in the grand scheme of things. Early this morning, 8 a.m., the moon squared off to Uranus. And so we're still probably feeling this energy just a little bit. You can see Uranus at 15 degrees, the moon's squaring it. So we're still within that 2-degree square. When the moon and Uranus square off this way, it can make us a little prone to upsets or outbursts. It gives us this like need for disruption, which isn't ideal for personal relationships, right? So it's like we want excitement, and if our external circumstances aren't providing the stimulation for that excitement, we might be tempted to create our own, maybe ruffle some feathers. The moon is also forming a sextile to Chiron at the same time, which can lead to healing moments if we allow ourselves to go there, right? And sometimes those outbursts, those things that are kind of pouring out of us, show us what needs to be healed. So, if that has already happened for you today, or maybe you're in the middle of that, like something went a little awry, let's just see, how can we use this as a healing moment? Chiron is here to pat us on the back and be like, it's okay if you were triggered. The trigger shows us where the wound is and how we can heal it. So just try not to create too many disruptions of your own today. Or if you already have, give yourself grace, find the healing in that moment. Tonight, 7 p.m. Pacific time, the moon forms a sextile to Venus. And this helps us lean into love a little bit more. We'll enjoy being around other people. We enjoy those partnerships, those close relationships a little more, even with the moon in Aquarius. It's like, okay, we like being around our people. And with Venus in Aries right now, we really want to lean into our passions, the things that light us up, the things that like really we are desiring. So this could make for, a passionate evening for you, or just you might want to be around other people that share the same passions and excitements as you, so you can all enjoy it together. Because remember, there's an emphasis on like a collective experience with the moon in Aquarius. Now, at the same time as the moon connects with Venus, it forms a T-square to the north and south node. And this marks almost this like karmic turning point or shift. The moon forms 2 of these T-squares every month. So it's not this like once in a lifetime opportunity or anything, but the fact that this is happening right at the tail end of Mercury Cazimi, it's like these insights that come through could be shifting us or lighting the path or making it a little clearer what direction we're supposed to be heading. But because it's a T-square, it might feel a little bit tense. Like, do I really want to go there? Like, but you know what direction you're supposed to be going. You know the things you're supposed to be learning, the energy you're supposed to be embodying. And something that comes up today, whether it's that insight or even an outburst, some tension, could show you, okay, here's how to turn that corner. Here's the direction we need to embody a little bit more. The people we surround ourselves with today under this Aquarius moon could be pivotal in showing us what lessons we need to learn, what directions we need to head, or they could have that information, that insight. It could be a profound conversation you have with someone else tonight that shows you, oh, okay, I get it. This is where I need to go. This is the energy I need to embody. And it's not going to feel comfortable. A T-square is like the farthest thing from comfortable, because it really feels like at the same time as the moon squaring off to the north node, it's squaring off to the south node, these nodes that were activated by the eclipse last weekend. And as we're coming into the peak releasing phase of the moon tomorrow, it's really showing us, if we haven't let go of everything already, if there's anything we've been clinging on to or that's just kind of stayed buried in the shadows, that's going to need to be released with this T-square between the north and south nodes. So likely this Saturday night, Sunday morning, that energy of release and like really revealing, making it impossible to ignore what we need to let go of, that's probably what we're going to be feeling. But we do have support from Venus helping us lean into love, lean into our passions and desires, softening this transit just a little bit this Saturday. My best friend is a Gemini rising, and that is so on point. Yes, Gemini risings. They are like, I feel like Gemini risings are the people like you want to invite to a party, because you know that they'll keep the conversation going. They'll make sure everyone is talking and feeling social, and they're just a great energy. You know, they're a great energy to bring into a social environment. My daughter is a Gemini rising, and she makes friends with kids really easy. She says, I can make friends everywhere. Absolutely. And what a gift, right? As a mom, to know that your kid can be really social and adapt to social situations really well. What a beautiful quality that she has. I love that so much. Okay, so we talked about this Saturday. Now let's walk you into Sunday. First, we're going to start with this little transit here. Mars forming a sextile to Pluto. This happens at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So this is the energy we'll feel most likely to start the day. We're going to talk about Mercury moving back into Taurus in just a moment. But first, what does this mean? Mars forming a sextile to Pluto. Let's jump ahead a day on our chart here so you can see what that looks like. All right, so Mars is over here at 28 degrees in Pisces. Pluto is retrograde. Remember, Pluto's now retrograde, but he's not moving very quickly at all. He's been hanging out at 28 degrees for what seems like forever. So now Mars and Pluto are in this nice 60-degree angle for us on Sunday. A sextile is a supportive angle, but it does require us to put in a little work to gain the benefits of it. So what does it mean when Mars and Pluto are connecting with each other in this way? So this Sunday, there's a lot of power. Pluto rules like our power. It's the planet of death and rebirth, but that can be a very powerful thing. It's kind of like our innermost ability to alchemize. And so when Mars forms a sextile to Pluto, there's a lot of power behind our actions, with Mars ruling our actions. We have the endurance, the stamina to tackle hard projects. If there's anything that you've been putting off or kind of avoiding, not wanting to take care of, this sextile between Mars and Pluto can really give you, help you pack that punch behind your actions. Now, we have a lot more influence over other people as well. Our actions are very influential with Mars forming a sextile to Pluto, and this has a positive and a negative. So the darkness of this is we might feel a tendency to control or manipulate or use that powerful influence over others in a way that's maybe not the most beneficial. The positive here, though, is that ability to influence. And with Mars in Pisces, it's asking us to go with the flow, and we can act from a place of compassion and empathy with Mars in the most sensitive sign of the zodiac. So as long as our actions come from a place of integrity and flow and empathy, we should be fine under this sextile between Mars and Pluto. But if things get a little fiery or triggered, they could kind of snowball and be a little overpowering, if you know what I mean. So anytime you're feeling the tendency to try to force or manipulate under this aspect, realize that's a red flag. That's not where we want to go. It's all about flowing with Mars and Pisces. And trying to force, trying to manipulate can create ego battles with other people. So we don't want to do that. But the positive is that influence, that leadership ability. Let that come to you naturally. Let your movements, your actions come intuitively, and you'll likely have greater influence that way than trying to be the leader and trying to force other people to do things the way you want to do them. Just go with the flow. Go with the flow is what Mars and Pisces wants us to do. But this is a really great day for getting things done because we have power. We have power behind all of our movements. Also, with this happening during the final quarter moon in Pisces, it's a great day to expel excess energy. With Mars forming a sextile to the planet of death and rebirth, this is a beautiful energy of release. It's really compounding the energy of release, literally moving your body through exercise. Any form of fluid movement is going to amplify the power of transformation. So as the moon is squaring off to the north and south node, like we just talked about, showing us what we need to release to go in the direction we're meant to go. As the final quarter moon in Pisces is asking us to let it go, let it flow, just wash all the drama, all of the sticky stuff away. Mars forming a sextile to Pluto is asking us to physically move our body to clear out all of that dead energy and clean the slate for new energy to come in. So physical movement is going to be your friend this Sunday for sure. And it could be extremely powerful or transformative if you kind of let yourself move those things out of you. But here's the big mama transit we'll be talking about, or feeling, I should say, tomorrow. So you can see on our chart, Mercury is at 0 degrees until, we'll jump ahead I think. Okay. Nope, still there. Hold on. One more hour. Okay. Now Mercury is back into Taurus as of, I think, about 6:30 on Sunday night. So for the next couple weeks, Mercury is moving back into Taurus. Now remember, the first time Mercury was in Taurus was, I believe, April 10th to the 29th. And that really felt like a slow pace for a lot of us. It really slowed things down in a lot of ways, but it allowed us to get more grounded in our communication, in our insights. I just realized you guys can see everything I'm doing over here. Here's a look at what this energy is bringing, though. So let me move this so you can actually read it. When Mercury backslides into Taurus, it's bringing back, it's making us revisit the ideas, the thoughts that we were having between April 10th and 29th, the first time Mercury moved through Taurus this year. And as we've been reviewing, revising, we gained these insights during Mercury Cazimi. We're getting a little bit more clarity this weekend. When Mercury moves back into Taurus, it's asking us to ground those insights, to slow down and take our time to really let things sink and settle in. We can reflect more deeply on our values, on our desires, with Taurus ruling our values. And the pace, it's like the pace already slowed down with Mercury retrograde. Even in the sign of Gemini, Mercury retrograde will cause glitches or delays to slow us down and force us to review and revise. But these glitches with Mercury in Gemini have felt more like inconveniences or pain points or technology just not working, things getting rescheduled. When Mercury moves back into Taurus, it just feels like a slow down, even more so, even slower than just regular old Mercury retrograde. This is a time to really welcome this slower energy and get grounded. Allow yourself the space, the comfort to reflect, review on what you really want when Mercury stations direct again. And Mercury will station direct in Taurus, so we'll be in this Mercury and Taurus energy until, let me tell you, June 13th is when Mercury moves back into Gemini. So we're here for a little bit. And that's not a bad thing. Remember, the transits, everything happens in divine timing. Everything happens for a reason. And this is the universe telling us, slow down, take your time, figure out what's true for you, figure out what feels correct, what needs to be reviewed. As we're leading up to this new moon in Gemini, we're in this phase of release under the moon right now. And so Mercury and Taurus asks us really to just be still and figure out what's still coming up mentally that is not helpful anymore, that's not aligning with my values or desires anymore, so that we can start anew under the new moon, so that we can pick back up in a more aligned place when Mercury stations direct. All right. So those are the two main transits of this Sunday. Let's really quickly go over what's going on with the moon, and then I will take you through the rest of Gemini season and the major transits coming our way. So the moon stays in Aquarius. In the early part of tomorrow morning, we talked a lot about that Aquarian energy, wanting to feel connected to a community, whether that's physically or virtually, just craving that community involvement with the moon in Aquarius, and craving to be seen in our own weird, unique way, which is why we're also drawn to other people who feel a little bit eccentric or weird, because we're like, ooh, I can witness you in your weird, which makes me feel safe to be my weird, if that makes sense. Now at 1 a.m. Saturday night into Sunday morning, so many of us could be experiencing this if we're up late on Saturday night, the moon forms a conjunction to Saturn. If you find yourself out really late or just up late tonight, maybe just go to bed. When the moon forms a conjunction to Saturn, it can be a real depressor on our mood. It can limit our emotions. We can be even more detached and more cold than we already are with the moon in Aquarius. It really distances us from our compassion, from our sensitivity. Our emotions will even come through as more serious or skeptical when the moon forms a conjunction to Saturn. Can create a lot of negativity, doubt, fear coming up, and thus create a lot of distance in close relationships. So if that's coming up for you this Saturday night or early Sunday morning, depending on where you live, know that it's just a phase, it's just a moment, and we don't have to buy into all the doubts that we feel. Sometimes we just go through a little low point, and that's kind of the feeling when the moon forms a conjunction to Saturn. If you are like, I guess the positive of this is like, if you are out at 1 a.m. and you're like partying it up, the moon forming a conjunction to Saturn could be that like inner parent that's like, hey, go home. Like, you need to be in a safe place. You need to not deplete your body. It's like that inner voice inside our head that's like, is this really what's best for you? Which is where doubt can come in. But I could see this being a little helpful for some people who might be going overboard on a Saturday night. So the moon forming a conjunction to Saturn really just makes us slow down, return to our sensibility, and get a little more serious, mature, responsible. You know what I mean? The moon is void until about 9 a.m. on Sunday morning. So if you have any big projects to start, or any big endeavors you have for this Sunday, wait until after 9 a.m. Pacific time to start them, or even noon Eastern time, depending on where you're watching, because a void moon is not the time to start something new. We want to wait until the moon officially moves into Pisces, into a new sign. When the moon is void, anything that started won't really amount to much. So this is a time to close things up, finish things off, maybe check a few mundane tasks off the to-do list, but we don't want to start any major projects until the moon moves into Pisces, and that happens at about 9 a.m. Pacific time on Sunday. This is the final quarter moon, as we mentioned. So the moon is now in its peak releasing phase on Sunday into Monday, asking us to let it all go. And Pisces energy is beautiful for a final quarter moon. The last sign of the zodiac, like just really inviting us to release, to just be, just allow. Trust that everything is working out. Trust that whatever is falling away needs to fall away, and whatever is remaining is meant for us. All of the shadows drudged up during eclipse season, maybe you're still working through them. Maybe Mercury retrograde is forcing you to keep going back to them and review them, and they keep playing out in your mind. The final quarter moon in Pisces is like taking your hands completely off the wheel and realizing you're not even in a car. This is a spaceship and you don't know how to drive it. But it could also look like a flood of emotions coming through, because Pisces is extremely emotional energy. So sometimes that release could come through a good cry, even a breakdown. This is a moment of catharsis on Sunday evening with the moon in Pisces. It's really looking for closure and healing. And sometimes there has to be a purge for us to find that. Just let yourself feel it all. Whatever's coming up for you on Sunday under this Pisces moon, let yourself feel it all. At 9 a.m., the first connection this Pisces moon makes is a square to Mercury retrograde right before Mercury moves back into Taurus. So this can create some communication breakdowns. Mercury Cazimi will be over at this point, and it can give us an impulsive need, this square between the moon and Mercury, to speak our mind. And with the moon in Pisces, we could be a little emotionally confused or not really in our clearest state. So just try to avoid those impulses to interject, or, it's like we're almost overly willing to express ourselves, even if we don't know exactly what we need to express. This can get us into a little bit of trouble. Words can land on especially sensitive ears, because we're all under this Pisces moon. We're all feeling these sensitivities. So it could be that you intend for your communication to affect people one way, but it actually hits a sensitive point you didn't realize was there. Just be extra intentional with how you're communicating this Sunday. I would say be a little more reserved even, especially with Mercury at 0 degrees. it makes us eager to talk, eager to think, overly communicative, and slowing down, maybe even stopping yourselves from saying that thing altogether can be really helpful. We're going to want to blurt things out on Sunday morning. Like, that is just the energy. Try not to. If you're like, think twice before you say what you're going to say, and think about how it might land. Really lean into the compassion and empathy of the Pisces moon and put yourself in that other person's shoes and think, okay, is this the best way of saying this? Is this something they really need to hear? The final transit of the weekend happens at 11 a.m. and it's when the moon squares off to the sun, marking that final quarter moon. Now, the final quarter moon is a point of release, like we talked about, a really cathartic point, especially with it being in Pisces. But that catharsis feels uncomfortable because it's always with a square between the moon and the sun. And this is our internal self clashing with our external self. Again, a point of catharsis. There is a baseline tension and anxiety here. And that tension and anxiety is showing us what can no longer live inside of our body, what we can no longer hold in. The Gemini sun wants us to be social and outgoing, like we talked about at the beginning of this live stream. But the moon in Pisces is feeling everything so deeply and unable to have those boundaries. So being in social settings on Sunday could feel, I would say, like, if you are already an empath, you're going to feel a lot of other people's emotions on Sunday. Really have clear emotional boundaries with yourself if you're out and about this Sunday. And if you're feeling any anxiety, have that compassion and empathy for yourself first. It's really easy to be focused on the other with the moon in Pisces, to be focused on other people's feelings, but make sure you're having those boundaries for your own feelings so that you can hold space for other people. You have to have boundaries of your own emotions before you can extend that to others. And it'll be interesting because, like, rationally, maybe you have plans on Sunday and you want to go and you want to do the things, but emotionally, internally, you'll likely crave rest, which again can create this sense of unease. As you're looking ahead to the week as well, it could feel draining to think about, like, all the things you want to accomplish. Mercury's at 0 degrees, the sun is at 0 degrees in Gemini. We're really eager to do all the things, to put ourselves out there, to be in all the social circles, to make sure we are planning all the little events on our agenda. But the moon in Pisces is like, I just need a day off. I just need to rest. I just need to relax. So give yourself that time, even if your mind feels like it's kind of in overdrive and overworking. And really try to give yourself some self-care, some relaxation before the pace of Monday morning hits you, so you're not already depleted before the start of a new week. Even if you have plans this Sunday, make sure you're taking some time for restoration and to take care of yourself under the Pisces moon. And I will say this final quarter moon could feel like a bubble bursting, like you've just been going so hard. And if you don't intentionally give yourself that time for rest, your body is going to force you to have it through, like, a breakdown or a big cry or something like that that just completely depletes your energy. So self-care is the assignment this Sunday. Restoration, empathy for ourselves and others, and setting a reasonable pace for our Sunday, not overexerting ourselves energetically. All right, so that's the weekend ahead. Now let's talk about what's coming up this Gemini season. All right, I'm going to just walk you through the main transits, and if you have questions along the way, feel free to ask. So we talked about the first transit of Gemini season, and I will post this on my Instagram in the next couple of days so you can come back and review it and bookmark it and have all the dates ready to go when we're experiencing major energetic shifts. We actually have a lot of planetary movements going on this Gemini season. So like I said, it feels like the pace is picking up in more ways than one. We're more curious, we're more outgoing, and the energy is shifting in a lot of ways. Our first transit, like we said, is tomorrow, Mercury moving back into Taurus. And then on May 24th, so this Tuesday, Mars enters Aries. We have an interesting trend here. Mars is moving into its home sign during Gemini season. And Venus is going to move into its home sign of Taurus during Gemini season. So things will feel a little bit more natural when it comes to relating to others, when it comes to giving and receiving love, or just energetically giving and receiving. It'll feel a little bit more natural as Gemini season goes on. Mars is moving from Pisces, as we talked about, very intuitive, wanting us to go with the flow. All of our actions feel a little bit cloudy and Mercury. Like, what are we really doing? We're trying to listen to our intuition and let our intuition guide us with Mars and Pisces. When Mars enters Aries, it's go time. It's like that fire is lit under us. We have fresh motivation. We have fresh stamina and drive. We will want to start new projects when Mars moves into Aries, especially with Jupiter in Aries too. Mars and Jupiter will form a conjunction in the next week or so, and that's really going to amplify that drive and that desire to start new things, start big projects, embark on new journeys with Jupiter in Aries. And so, you know, Mars loves to be here. This is where it's at home. It rules Aries. And this gives us a ton of energy to go after our heart's desire, fight for causes we believe in. Aries is that warrior archetype, and Mars is the god of war. So it's like that warrior going into battle on the home front. It knows exactly what to do, where to be, how to have the advantage, how to be in control, how to be in power. We have like a whole army behind us with Mars entering Aries. That's how the energy feels. But just a little warning, just a little, you know, label here. We could experience a little more aggression with Mars and Aries. Mars rules that aggressive masculine energy. And we could be more quick to do things, more spontaneous, which can be fun, but can also get us into a little bit of trouble. So the tendency here with Mars and Aries is going to be to speed up, to do it right away. And I would invite you to try to slow down and think before you jump into action. Think before you just go. This is a really positive transit, but just slow your roll a little bit. We can get going too fast and get ourselves into a sticky situation. I'm feeling so energized today. Couldn't explain it until right now. Mercury Cazimi, it is literally happening right now. Moments of clarity. Mercury is working with us for just a moment. Fine, if you insist. Love it. Okay, so that's the next main transit we have coming up this week. Then on May 28th, so that would be 25th, 26th, Saturday, right? Next Saturday, I believe. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Venus enters its home sign of Taurus. So Mars in its domicile, then Venus moves into its domicile. Venus has been in Aries, where it's been in a weak position. You might have noticed relating to people is a little bit more fiery or impulsive with that Aries energy we just talked about. It has made us more passionate, and Venus in Aries has made us a little bit, it could have like lit that spark, if you know what I mean. But Venus as a planet, as an energy, craves harmony and balance. And Venus in Aries is not balanced. It's like all the love, all the passion. Venus in Taurus helps us restore that balance, come back to that comfortable state, ground our desires, get grounded in our values as well. We crave pleasure. We crave comfort. Like, even our sensuality is heightened when Venus is in Taurus. We want the comfortable blankets. We want the good food. We want the beautiful smelling things, flowers in our house, very sensual energy. We are also able to, Mercury will still be retrograde in Taurus, asking us to reflect on our values. And with Venus here as well, it's like, okay, it's really easy to figure out what feels good. It's literally just like what feels good for us, both physically with Venus in the sign of Taurus, but also energetically with our values, with our sense of self, like what feels good for us, what aligns with our desires. We'll also be more attracted to being around people who feel stable and secure with Venus in Taurus. This isn't a time, Venus in Aries is like, ooh, that person's shiny. Let me go hang out with them, Like, what catches our attention? We're like going to run towards it. We're really impulsive with Venus and Aries. Venus and Taurus is like, okay, you seem cool, but can you stand the test of time? Are you stable? Do you have your shit together? Do I really want to get involved with you? Does my energy feel comfortable around your energy? Can I totally be myself and aligned with what's true for me when I'm around you? So we're really craving those deeper connections that feel safe with Venus and Taurus. Now, Venus also rules our money, and Taurus is notorious for being associated with money. So Venus and Taurus could be great for our finances, but also we will be more drawn to financial stability and security. We can almost expect a focus of like securing the bag, you know, like we need to secure the bag with Venus and Taurus. We need to make sure that the projects we're investing in, the people we're surrounding ourselves with are beneficial to our long-term wealth and to our income stream, to our ability to be comfortable physically. So Venus and Taurus, I like this transit. And if you have major Taurus placements, you'll probably like this transit too. I'm excited to see how the energy feels with Venus and Taurus and Mars and Aries with Jupiter. Yes, it does feel like we're coming into this state of, with Mercury retrograde in Taurus too, of like remembering what feels natural. Taurus energy is about the earth and nature. And so with Venus and Taurus, with Mars and Aries, it's like what feels natural for us and how do we create more of that? We're like reflecting on it. And then when Mercury stations direct on June 3rd, still in Taurus, it's like we can take all those insights that we've gotten comfortable with and start moving forward with them, get the wheel turning back in the forward direction. Then Mercury moves back into Gemini, which I believe is one of our next transits we're talking about, and things start to pick back up again. Okay, so Venus in Taurus. Then on May 30th, we have the new moon in Gemini. Oh, of course your Venus is in Taurus, Jenny. Oh my God, this makes so much sense. I feel like we've talked about this, but it's like, that is so you. So the new moon in Gemini, May 30th. The new moon in Gemini is a time to get really curious. We will likely want to learn new information, be around new people with the new moon in Gemini. We talked all about that Gemini energy, that social energy. This new moon is a time to ask yourself some powerful questions. Who do you want to be in the next chapter? Gemini is the sign of the twins, notorious for having so many different personalities. During this retrograde, this is a great time to test out all your different personalities, you know, like step back into that version of yourself for a moment. How does that feel to remember, to revisit what that felt like? Do I want to bring that back, or is that something that needs to definitely go away for good? The new moon in Gemini it's like all these versions of yourself in a closet, okay? They're all, you know, different outfits, represented by different outfits that you've tried on throughout your life. The new moon in Gemini is asking you, like, clean out your closet, and which ones do you want to keep, and how do you want to try these on? Should we try a few different outfits on under the new moon in Gemini? It allows all the facets of our personality to come out to play, and there could be a part of you that's excited to start something new under that new moon in Gemini. So setting intentions around who you want to be and what you want to learn under the new moon in Gemini. You might even feel this pull to enroll in a new course under the new moon, or sign up for a new kind of event under the new moon. It's all about expanding our awareness, gaining new information, that Gemini energy, and with it being a new moon, it's like a lot of excitement. Our curiosity can lead us to new information and new experiences. And as we try on those different parts of ourselves, we revisit these different facets of our personality, it can also bring through insights and information that we have yet to understand. Sometimes there are parts of us that have this innate wisdom that we've forgotten about. That could come back out to play during the new moon in Gemini, because remember, Mercury will still be retrograde and Mercury will be the ruling planet of this new moon. So really inviting us to get curious in all the ways, curious about ourselves internally, these different parts of ourselves. If you've ever heard of IFS therapy, internal family systems, this would be a really amazing new moon to dive into that, or enroll in an IFS course, or even just watch a YouTube video about IFS. I feel like this is the IFS new moon. I'm not certified in IFS. I've just learned about it here and there, but it feels very Gemini because it's all about all the different parts of yourself. That's the basis of IFS. Like, you have all these different parts, your protector part, your inner child, and that feels very Gemini to me. But whatever it is, whatever your curiosity is leading you to, this new moon marks this fresh stage, this new opportunity to learn something new or set intentions about what you want to learn, what parts of yourselves feel good to explore under the new moon and in the next chapter. Okay, so that was our new moon. Now let's talk about June 3rd. This is when Mercury stations direct in Taurus. And so we talked about this a little bit. It's like the wheel slowly starts turning in forward motion again. It'll feel very slow, but slowly the fogginess, the confusion of retrograde seasons starts to lift over the coming weeks. Whatever you found yourself reviewing or questioning during Mercury retrograde can now resume forward motion. Any insights you gained or things that you realized you needed to release can now sort of be put to rest as we start to move forward mentally with more alignment with our values and with ourselves. Mercury will still be in its shadow period for about a week, but like I said, this is slowly gaining momentum when Mercury stations direct. The key word here is slow. Mercury in Taurus makes things feel slow. Mercury is fast-paced. It's day-to-day. It's our routines. It's the news. It's fast-paced information coming in. It's literally the fastest planet in the solar system. So Mercury in Taurus feels like painstakingly slow. We'll probably feel that for the first bit of June until Mercury moves back into Gemini. That's when the pace picks up again. Okay, so that's June 3rd. I told you we have a lot of transits coming up, a lot of shifts coming up this Gemini season. On June 4th, so Mercury stations direct June 3rd, but another retrograde begins June 4th. Saturn will station retrograde from June to October. This happens every 12 months. Saturn stations retrograde for about 4 months. Now, Saturn is the planet of, we talked a lot about Saturn this week, actually. If you want to go listen to the Spiritual Journalist episode on Saturn returns, we talk a lot about Saturn energy, and that's a really great way to tap into this. When Saturn stations retrograde, it's asking us to check the foundation. It's like an inspector coming in and being like, is this house on solid ground? What needs to be fixed to make sure we have a steady foundation? Saturn is also associated with big lessons, karmic lessons. So this 4-month period can be a time of karmic rebalancing where Saturn is showing some lessons that need to be learned, making us review the lessons it's already taught us to gain a better understanding the second time around. If there's a lesson Saturn has been trying to teach you and you haven't gotten it yet, Saturn retrograde is like, you are going to learn this. And it's like a teacher, right? Making you go back and review. Have you ever had a teacher where, the class wasn't picking up on a concept quickly enough or as gaining enough of a grasp on a concept as the teacher knew needed to happen? So you had to go back and review and review and review and review. That feels like Saturn retrograde. Like, okay, we get it, but also, do you really get it? Saturn's like, I don't think you do. Some structures could break down during Saturn's retrograde in order for new foundations to be built. With Saturn in Aquarius, too, this is a very collective transit. Aquarius rules the collective. So Saturn's transit through Aquarius, hello, pandemic, forcing us to all abide by certain restrictions and boundaries for the collective good, for collective reasoning, right? Individually, it might not have felt fully great for most of us, but collectively, we all knew we had to work together to abide by these rules, these very Saturnian rules for the collective good. Saturn retrograde could bring back some of those rules or make us review some of those rules that were implemented mid 2020. So I'm not saying like we're going to have a shutdown or anything again with Saturn retrograde, but there could be things that come up that we've already walked through that we have to revisit again, specifically with the government, with authority figures. Saturn rules these things. And it could shift our entire collective perspective. Collective perspective, I like that. With Saturn retrograde for these 4 months. Saturn is really here to show us what's going to stand the test of time. So, you know, individually, if things keep coming up, either we need to release them or Saturn is making us continue to revisit these things so they do have longevity. And so we can carry these lessons through our life and long term. But it doesn't feel comfortable. It doesn't feel nice. Saturn can be very harsh. It's like that strict father figure, like this is what you need to learn. And I tried to teach it to you before gently. It's not happening. So I'm going to bring it back in a different lesson that's a little bit harsher this time during Saturn retrograde. This could be collective, like I said. Also technology, like Aquarius rules technology. So there could be certain technological things we're reviewing the efficacy of. I'll leave it at that, but I could see something like that coming up with Saturn retrograde. Just don't be surprised if it feels like old rules, old restrictions are being reimposed during Saturn's retrograde. I love also that when I started talking about like Saturn and restrictions, a couple people stopped watching. They're like, we don't want to deal with this. I get it. I totally get it. Saturn he can be annoying. Okay. June 13th, Mercury moves back into Gemini. The pace picks back up again. We've talked about this a bunch. All the curiosity, all the intellectual conversations. It's like full speed ahead for Mercury. Finally, after this retrograde again, we have much clearer ability to speak, to think. Our mental capacity could even feel a little bit scattered because it's like we have all these things we want to learn. All this stuff came up during Mercury retrograde. And now we really just want to like put it out there and share it with everybody and learn all the things and soak it all in. We're prone to dabbling in a lot of different topics. Again, Mercury shadow side makes us a little gossipy. We can tend to put our mental energy into a lot of different things rather than honing in. So focus is going to be really big with Mercury and Gemini. And the pace is going to pick up through the end of June for sure. Let's see, our final transit that we're talking about through Gemini season is the full moon in Sagittarius, arguably the most abundant full moon of the year. Sagittarius is the optimist. It's that happy-go-lucky energy. And a full moon is a culmination point, a celebration point. This is a really beautiful time to celebrate how much you've grown, how much you've expanded over the past 6 months, over the past year. This is right before the summer solstice, this culmination point of the spring in a way. Really just asking us to honor all the things that have bloomed in our life, all those seeds we planted at the beginning of spring and now being abundant and blooming and bringing beautiful things into our lives. Give yourself permission under this full moon to celebrate, to party a little bit, to let loose, be free. Sagittarius energy is like unadulterated. It's over the top. Be over the top. Be extra under this full moon. This is your permission slip. And doing so can really invite in a lot of gratitude. Sagittarius energy is very gratuitous. It's very generous. And I would say a gratitude practice under this full moon is going to be so powerful for you. Even just simply writing down things you're grateful for and inviting in more of that. One of my good friends, Kat, uses this mantra when she's really in a state of enjoying something or loving something happening in her life. She says, more of this, please. More of this, please. And that's this full moon. More of this, please. Celebrating all the things we love. Put yourself in a fun situation. Like, this is the full moon to have some fun, be free, let it loose, feel as abundant as possible, because that's the vibe of Sagittarius. Abundance all the way, optimism all the way. Have faith that whatever has expanded for you so far is only going to compound and take you to greater heights than you can possibly imagine under this full moon. and over the next 6 months until Sagittarius season, when this full cycle rounds out. All right, everyone, those are all the transits. Like I said, I will post this to my Instagram in the next few days, so you can revisit it anytime. You can also come back to this episode and revisit this anytime, but that should say Gemini season, not Aries season. But yeah, that's a walk through Gemini season for you. An exciting start, a lot of energetic shifts coming our way, and I love that we're having this conversation right in the middle of Mercury Cazimi too. It's like really feels aligned. Like all this information needs to come through to prepare us to walk through the energy over the next month. It's funny too, the last time we had a Mercury Cazimi, I was very intentional about live streaming during it and being with you all during the Mercury Cazimi. And this time that's just what happened because Mercury retrograde decided this is when the stream was going to work. So I love how aligned it is. Okay, now we're going to pull a card. This is your Cazimi moment. If you are looking for some guidance from the universe or just some guidance from me astrologically, this is your time to either ask questions in the chat or just ask questions of spirit, God, the universe, whatever you need to know. It's just all in this moment. Can you hear the hammering next door? Ah, love it on a Saturday. Let's ignore the hammering. And in this moment, let's just take a deep breath, a collective deep breath under this Aquarius moon to call in whatever information we need to know. Here we go. Breathe in. Hold. Let's do one more. Breathe in. Hold. And let it out. Okay. What do we need to know? Ooh, I love this card. We got the Warrior Woman card. Warrior Woman, have you answered your deepest calling? Have you answered your deepest calling? What does the guidebook have to say? Where is she? Where's our Warrior Woman? Here we go. You are here for a reason. You are being called to bravely pave a path. Have you answered your highest and deepest calling? Living a heart and soul-led life is not all fluffy and smooth sailing. Living a heart and soul-led life requires courage to triumph over fear. So often our fears are the gatekeepers to our greatest gifts. And the more resistance we have toward answering a call, the more important it is for our soul's growth. Sometimes fear is an indication that we are facing the right way. Joan of Arc was known for her courage and her famous line, "I'm not afraid, I was born to do this." But the thing about courage is that it's not possible without fear. So if you're feeling afraid, what is needed is courage. And courage comes from living from the heart. Think of your fears as opportunities to expand rather than things that are holding you hostage. If you look at your fears in this light, then as uncomfortable as it might feel, it's actually a sign that you are on the right track. Yes, yes, yes. We love this card. I love that this came through during our Mercury Cazimi show because Mercury retrograde can bring up a lot of fears and doubts and make us question things, especially with Mercury at 0 degrees right now, moving back into Taurus. It can bring up a lot of those doubts. But this Cazimi moment is asking you to think about, what have you been doubting? What have you been fearing? What have you been questioning? And how can you lean into that a little bit more? Are you afraid because it's not meant for you, or are you afraid because it actually is meant for you and you know it's a big deal and you don't want to F it up? Follow that fear. Get curious about that fear today. We still have a few more hours of this Cazimi energy for those insights to come through. So as we log off here, I just invite you to take 5 minutes for yourself, sit in some silence, reflect on this, and ask, what's been coming up during Mercury retrograde? What am I so afraid of? And how can I lean into it? How can I embody this warrior woman archetype and run headfirst into my fears? Ooh, good stuff. Good stuff. Oh, thank you so much for being here, Rose. I want to learn all the things. That is the Gemini season energy, and you are in the right place to learn. I love this. I'm going to have to rewatch this. Yes, and you can find these posts on my Instagram too, but this will live on YouTube throughout Gemini season. If you ever need some guidance or just to revisit what's coming up, you can definitely come back to this, look at the markers on the timeline, jump to specific dates. It's just a good resource. All right, everyone. Remember to find that inner warrior within you. It'll come very easily once Mars moves into Aries, but sometimes we've got to find that within ourselves before the energy allows it. So run towards your fears. Figure out what are they showing you. Don't be afraid. Everything is happening for a reason. I love you so much. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for this beautiful conversation today. Thank you for showing up for yourselves. Thank you for showing up for each other in the comments. The community we're growing here is so beautiful. And if you found this video helpful and you haven't already liked and subscribed, please go ahead and do so. We're getting closer and closer every day to 1,000 subscribers so we can finally monetize this channel. Keep these videos coming to you for free every single day. I also just launched some Mercury retrograde mini readings, so I'll show you how you can sign up for those if you're interested. If Mercury retrograde has felt a little intense for you, I get it. And for $44, we'll get together for a little under a half hour. We'll talk about where Mercury is in your chart. We'll talk about what Mercury is doing currently with your chart, what area it's transiting through, what insights you can gain, how to work with the current energy, and then we'll do an individual card pull. So you just have to go to the link in my bio on Instagram. You can just click Mercury retrograde mini readings, and that's where you can book if you're interested. That'll be running for the next 2 weeks through Mercury retrograde. So if you're looking for a little clarity, that's there for you, and I would love to connect with you in that way. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your weekend. I hope that this Gemini energy is feeling good and juicy and exciting for you, igniting new curiosity. Lean into it. Observe what your fear is showing you. Know that you are not alone. Know that there is a higher plan for you, and know that you are so loved by me and by this entire community. I hope to see you right back here on Monday morning to walk through the week ahead. But until then, stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.